Hi there, welcome to Pins and Patience. My name is Jeremy. I'm 3/4 of the way done, if not more than that, with the DS9 Nemesis Captains Jacket. I'm going to go over a few of the things that I've done. I'm going to share with you some of my best practices, and then I'm also going to share with you some of the processes that did not work, or in building any sort of jacket or clothing, things I did wrong. So first things, I'm going to start with the top, and in here, as you can see, right around the mitered edges, I did take time to do this. Now, as I was going through it, I honestly thought that this entire piece of bias was one piece. So I cut it into the length as it was, and then I sewed it from this corner going up here to this miter around. And in the instructions, it's in fact two pieces. Now, I think I did a good job actually being able to take the corners, take the hard angles, and then wrap them around. I mean, there is some puckering around here, and I think that that's just the weight of the material, the bulk of the seams, all that good stuff. One of the processes that I should have done, and what I should have realized, is the going down the angled part of the V here. This is what should have been connected to the zipper trim. I was having a lot of problems with the zipper trim. The reason why I was having such problems with the zipper trim is the weight of the material that I chose. I didn't realize how light the jacket material should have been. So in this case, I chose actually a wool blend suiting. It is quite heavyweight, and in fact, I'm going to say too heavy for this process. So I actually now have a winter weight jacket, and when I move on to my Mark III, I'll have a summer weight jacket. The quilting, I'm very happy with. It took time, but I was able to line up both the front and back quilt lines. Very happy with that. There is some very minor separation between the quilt lines, but you'd probably have to stand in front of it with a magnifying glass and really take a look at it. I'm going to flip it around to the back. Carrying on with the back of the build, as you can see, the quilt lines are even and connected. I am going to bring your attention to these two quilt lines here. This one is much wider than the rest. I couldn't understand why until I realized that this was the quilt line which was on the fold, and I did some mismeasurements, and that is why this one is wider than the other. I honestly don't know how the rest of it worked out. I don't know how I managed to line up the quilt lines with the back yoke and the front yoke, having this large space in between, but I guess the costuming universe was on my side. I'm very happy with the way things turned out in the back. I am very happy with the bias line going here. I'm very happy with the quilt lines. I'm going to turn it inside out so you can see some of the processes that I didn't do right. What you're looking at here is the inside out view of the front of the jacket. I didn't know how to line a jacket properly. I didn't understand how liners worked. Again, that's due to my inexperience. So what I did in this case, I cut out liners for each individual panel. So that was my idea of working with the liner. Alex had pointed out, as he was questioning me, why did I top stitch down the front panels? I did so because I thought I wanted to flatten out and secure the seams on there, which is why he saw the top stitching. Again, you'll see all the bulk here that should be hidden. Again, if I had done this correctly, a proper liner would have hidden all of this. So there you go. Those are my process failures in this. Again, never having sewn a jacket, never having sewn a liner, and not understanding the full process of it. And of course here, as you can see around the collar, I used a much wider bias than I probably needed, but at the same time, I wanted to make sure that I could do the stitch in the ditch. And I actually have a nice mitered corner here, but again, I did this entirely in one piece. So that's where you see this, and naturally this line is supposed to be connected to the zipper trim going up from here to there. The back inside of the jacket is no different. Again, top stitching down the larger seams there, keeping those tight and even. Again, I think that looks neater, but due to inexperience, this should all be one. This should all be hidden, and this should all be one piece of a liner. I just completed this seam here with a little while ago. This is pressed, and I'm thinking now that it's all cut, or I should say now that it's all sewn, I'm going to cut some of the bulk back. Don't know how I'm going to do it, but I think that might be the right way to go. Best practices, lessons learned. I'm going to recommend that if you're going to take on this project, you complete the yokes, front, back, and do all of the trims prior to attaching any of the body panels. When I was sewing this, I found it frustrating, to say the least, trying to manage all of the panels connected towards my sewing machine and having to roll fabric, all that kind of good stuff. The attention to detail with the yokes that you need, again, is hindered by having all the rest of the body panels connected. That's my best practice advice. The actual connection of the body panels to the yokes is very simple. It's probably the easiest part of the whole build. And of course, the next part for me, the struggle, is going to be engaging the sleeves. I have to do a test run with some old fabric I have to try to install the sleeves. So I had to do some pattern alteration, and I will show you that, of course, as I move on. Please leave me comments if you have any questions. If you have advice on how to do things better, please leave it. It'll only help me with my learning process. Remember, knowledge is power, but only when shared. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.